Okay, now that we've gotten a little bit into our art journaling and learned about mark making, painted backgrounds, and painting combined with stamping, we are going to take it a little bit further and add some more mixed media elements. So here is a book similar to the one that you guys are working in. What I've done is went through and gessoed all the pages that I think needed gessoing. This one I left blank because I don't mind having some writing in there, and I tried to use as little gesso as possible so that my pages are staying pretty nice to work with. So I've done the whole entire book here, and I will start working in it. I wanted to show you some of the books again that I have already created. So let's see, I have a few pages marked. So, all right, so this is just showing you how to, this is the first step, is to gesso your pages. Here is a page that I did. So we are kind of using the same techniques that we did the last time. So this one, I had a painted background. Let me see. I'm going to show you in this book. It starts off something like this. I also wanted to mention, a lot of you did like more of geometric patterns and like with taping off and stuff. Sometimes it's better to just do some little patches of color and maybe leave some white space as well. So that is what I did on here. I had my patches of color, and then I incorporated some drawing, and then I did painting. So this is paint markers, colored pencil, and then acrylic paint that I created this face with. I also used, this was from an old calendar, or no, this was actually something that I created on my computer and cut out. And some of these elements, I think that these are all things that I made, but you can find things like this on decorative paper or in a magazine. So we're going to be incorporating some collage elements. So you can use washi tape. What I have here, like we have lots of magazines we can look through. If you find something interesting that you would like to use, it needs to fit on the page and be something that you can work with, not just gluing pictures down, but actually like manipulating or creating something out of that picture. And then I have all different kinds of paper. There's like, here's a little tiny piece, but there's like some book pages, and then some decorative papers, cards, things like that. So we just want some little scraps of paper. And you can also cut things out of the paper, like say you just maybe wanted to add some arrows, you could just cut out some shapes, like I did with these flowers here. I also incorporated some drawing. I don't know how well you can see that. So I've drawn some flowers. I don't think this one has really any mark making. And then I incorporated some words in here as well. So it's nice to start adding quotes or just sayings or anything really that you want to write down. Let's see. Here's another example. So I started off the same way with just some painting in the background. This one is actually, this was part of the book, and I didn't want to cover it up, so I decided to make my page with this in mind. So it's kind of about Our Lady of Guadalupe. So I did this painting around here, and this was from an old calendar that I had. I just cut out some of the flowers and incorporated that. I also drew some flowers on, this was actually the back of the calendar as well, and I just drew them with a pen, cut it out, and added the flowers, and then I added some writing as well. And here's a piece of decorative paper. I try to find like thinner paper. This one's a little bit thicker, and it doesn't like lay quite as flat as I'd like it to. I don't know if you can see, there's these little flowers in the background, and this is actually tissue paper. It was like white tissue paper with flowers on it, and basically it became like transparent when I added it. I used some of the acrylic matte medium to apply that. I use that to apply all of my paper collage embellishments. All right, so this is what a finished page should look like. So now we're basically like adding images. We're using some images from our books to create a layout. Okay, so I am going to demonstrate how to start this. So here is a page that has the paint already done on it. So I've just added some blocks of color on my page, leaving some of it white. My next step then is I went through that paper bin and grabbed some decorative papers. I also grabbed this little stamp that I embossed in gold. I showed you guys that. It was like a little demonstration on how to emboss, so I thought, I might as well use that as well. So I'm just going to lay out some of these papers and glue them down. So this kind of just gives it a little bit more visual interest and adds a little bit of texture to the page. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add some of that matte medium right to the page. And I'm not real precise on how I want them to be on there. They can be on there kind of any old way. I like to go over it a little bit. You don't want to use too much of this either. Just enough to get it stuck down nicely. Make sure there's no air bubbles in it. You should be thinking of some things maybe that you like to draw. Like if you don't like drawing or you don't think that you're good at drawing, you can always, like I said, use a something out of a magazine. But I would like you to alter the image somehow with some sort of drawing. What I think I'm going to do on this page is create a bunch of flowers and then use that gold embossing powder to emboss them, and then maybe paint them in or do something, and then add maybe a quote or some writing up there. And don't forget the mark making. I think that you guys were the most successful with your mark making, so it's always nice to add some of that to your page too, which I think I will as well. Of course, I have to wait for this to dry. So once this is dry, I will get back to the video and show you the next step. Okay, so while I was off camera, I used some gray paint to do a little mark making, and I did a little bit of splattering of paint, just that same gray paint as well on my page, just to give it some more visual interest. Next, I'm going to do a little bit of drawing. Like I said, I think I'm going to add some more flowers or something floral-like on my page, and then I have an embossing marker. I'm going to trace over it and use some of this gold embossing to emboss them. We'll see how that looks. I'm going to do that off camera and I will come back. Okay, so here is what I have been doing. I found this image in a magazine and decided that I should use this so that I can give you sort of an example of how you can use it. It's something that fits on the page, and I kind of fussy cut around it. It's really important that you cut it out very neatly. And then I had my ideas with all these flowers, so I stamped a few more flowers, and then I used, this is an embossing pen, so it's just clear, and so I had drawn with a pencil these flowers, and then went over it with the embossing pen and then put the gold embossing powder over the top of it. Now that I have all this going on, I think it's way too much with the gold and all that, and I'm not really loving it. So I am going to rework this a little bit, probably maybe paint over some of this stuff and come up with something else, which is fine, and I might leave little bits of it peeking through. So I am going to get to work on that, and then I will come back for another video. I'll just show what I came up with. That's something you can always do. If you don't like what you've made, you can always cover it up. All right, so this is what I've come up with so far. It's not quite a complete piece, but I need to end this video so that I can have it prepared for you for tomorrow. So I ended up painting over the gold embossed flowers, and it didn't cover up very well. So what I ended up doing was putting some more decorative papers and just book pages over. I added a little bit of paint over that, and then I decided to, I found this flower in a magazine, so I decided to create some flowers, which is kind of what I had in mind, and then I created this sort of a crown flower around the girl's head, which is kind of what I had in mind for the piece anyways. I also added some paint to her cheeks, and I plan on doing a little bit more with her hair and maybe her necklace, and I'm going to add a few more flowers in here. So I found this quote. It's not been glued down yet, but I'm thinking about having it here. I'm not sure if it's too dark or not, so I'm still debating on that. So when you create yours, you're going to start off with your plain gessoed page. Then you will be doing some color blocking, and then either doing some journaling or drawing or magazine, and collaging with different kinds of papers to create some sort of layout. I think it's best to create a double spread if you can. All right, so I can't wait to see how yours turn out.